DK Metcalf has signed a 5-year, $150 million deal to not sign with the Carolina Panthers. Going on, you're watching Panthers Pulse. Thanks for joining. DK Metcalf, in breaking news, is being shipped off to the sandy beaches, the blue skied, high humidity, UV capital of America. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, baby. When you think of camp color shirts and mojitos and pina coladas and tacos and sexy music and just, high fever dancing all night clubs and just sweating buckets, baby, you don't know, you don't own pants, you don't own a rain jacket, you don't own a vest. No, unless it's one of those like mesh vests where you can see your body. You think of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's exactly where DK Metcalf is headed right now, in exchange for a second round pick and a pick swap in the later rounds. And also, the second he gets there to Pittsburgh, PA, he is signing a 5-year, $150 million deal, $30 million a year, one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league right now. Just like we all thought, just like how we were all led to believe by all the guys who are paid lots of money. Lots of money. The Jeremy Fowlers of the world, the Diana Rossini's of the world. On the ESPN lower banner, it says the LA Chargers, Carolina Panthers, frontrunners for DK Metcalf's services. This is after we were told that DK Metcalf prefers a warmer climate because Pacific Northwest, not ideal during football weather. Pretty good in the summer. Not ideal during the football season, and wants to sign a deal that pays him $30 million a year. So one would figure, yeah, that makes sense. LA Chargers, the Carolina Panthers, both up-and-coming teams. Chargers a little bit more ahead of the Carolina Panthers, but then the Pittsburgh Steelers show up and get the metaphysical ball, wrecking ball, and smash Carolina Panther dreams. Wow. Firstly, I want to give a shout out to Mike Tomlin, because I know after continuously losing out in the playoffs the last couple of years, to the point where you're getting fans and national and local media wondering, Mike Tomlin, surefire Hall of Fame head coach for one of the storybook franchises in the National Football League. He's going to the Hall of Fame. But despite the animosity towards him after their early exit yet again in the playoffs, the man knows how to recruit. Like, mind you, this was a trade and all that stuff, but at the same time, any fears that people may have had, that, including Carolina Panther fans, which exist here, that DK Metcalf could have been a hindrance to the locker room. We saw what Deontay Johnson would have done. But guess where Deontay Johnson played before he became an actual laughingstock in the National Football League? The Pittsburgh Steelers. George Pickens plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he's currently not being arrested in the offseason. He is seemingly pretty under control in Steeltown. Antonio Brown. We did not know that guy was certifiable until he left the clutches, the control of Mike Tomlin. The man just knows how to control people and keep them all about ball. You don't see Pittsburgh Steelers, out there doing crazy commercials. So whoever DK Metcalf was with Seattle, he is now going to be potentially a changed man in Pittsburgh, because something happens when you leave Pittsburgh, when you become a crazy person. When you go to Pittsburgh, you kind of follow the line. They kind of have, how the Patriots had the Patriot way, the Steelers had the Steeler way, and DK Metcalf is going to fit right into that wide receiver room with George Pickens and going to be catching balls from, we don't know. Because right now, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields is currently not in contract. Obviously, Russell Wilson would probably want to stay in in Pittsburgh. Going to be thrown to his former teammate, and according to my brother, who is a Seattle Seahawks fan, best bud, and DK Metcalf, it would behoove him to stay in Pittsburgh. Justin Fields might want to leave. Might not be his spot, unless DK Metcalf has something to say about that. I'd rather catch passes for him than from Russ. Who knows? But shout out to Mike Tomlin. He still garners respect from a lot of people in the league. And according to ESPN, Adam Schefter and a bunch of the guys and gals there wrote their little piece. They're talking about how the Seattle Seahawks did what's best for the Seattle Seahawks. Didn't really matter about where the player was going to be playing. That's not really their priority. It's not like they won a Super Bowl or a couple Super Bowls with DK Metcalf. They owe him nothing. So they got a second-round pick. Now, there's folks out there who would want to give the Seattle Seahawks the Carolina Panthers second-round pick, 57th overall in the draft. Maybe that was a little bit too rich, as well as the contract, $30 million a year for 5 years, when we still really don't know what this team is, where the deficiencies really are on the defense right now. And we saw with the Philadelphia Eagles, hard-nosed, hard-fight, physical defense, that's going to win you championships, and we have the opposite of that right now. So Guys like Dave Canales, Dan Morgan, who know DK Metcalf. I don't know what it was. Who knows? I wish I was a fly in the wall to know whether they thought he's past his prime, which I don't believe. Could he be a cancer? And they don't have a Mike Tomlin clone with the Carolina Panthers that could keep him under control. Maybe they thought it wasn't worth the risk to their quarterback, who apparently, even though I think he's got his moxie back, could be susceptible to, for lack of better terms, bullies in the Deontay Johnsons. And last time I checked, DK Metcalf could probably eat Deontay Johnson in about a nanosecond if he ate anything other than candy. So that sucks. That sucks because I thought, naive me, fan, not GM, thought that, relationships matter in the NFL. Dave Canales, he knows how to use DK Metcalf. Dan Morgan, he knows DK Metcalf. I said before in the previous episode that he fills a lot of needs. He's an elite wide receiver. Some people say he's not a top 20 wide receiver. I'd say he is. I'd say he is a threat that asks for your attention all the time on the defense. That's someone you have to double coverage if you're a defensive coordinator. And also, he's a dog. Sure, he could be a little bit crazy on the sidelines, but that's because he's competitive. I don't think he's toxic. I never heard anything about him being a toxic teammate. Not to pile on Deontay Johnson, but like a Deontay Johnson, I thought those relationships mattered. And I guess they don't. Unless you are, of course, Josh Allen, who signed a 6-year, $330 million deal with the Buffalo Bills, guaranteed $250 million. Myles Garrett, who apparently wanted out of the Cleveland Browns and was done being a loser. Sorry, he's a Hall of Famer potentially, but he's a loser. They haven't gone anywhere. Looks like they're not going to be going anywhere. I don't think Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is going to be sending them anywhere, but money talks. He doesn't want to compete. He doesn't want to win a Super Bowl. He wants to stay with the relationships that he's built in Cleveland, Ohio, and sign a 4-year, $160 million contract. But what's the lesson here? Play quarterback. 6 years, 330, or 4 years, 160. You tell me what you want. But then you also have guys like Harold Landry, a guy who I wanted the Panthers to look at potentially. He was let go by the Tennessee Titans. He reconnects with his former head coach of the Tennessee Titans, who is now the head coach of the Patriots. So Harold Landry, back with Mike Vrabel. He's with the Patriots. So in some cases, relationships do matter. Zach Bond, we thought maybe he could be a hot pickup for the Carolina Panthers. It's all about relationships. He stays with the team they won the Super Bowl with. Jaron Reed, 3-year, $25 million deal with the Seahawks, defensive tackle there. Again, relationships, sticking with what he knows. Nick Bolton, another guy who I wanted the Carolina Panthers to potentially look at, signing a 3-year, $45 million deal to stay with the Chiefs. So relationships matter. So I guess the relationship, as I'm talking this through, this is just verbal diarrhea. It's a Sunday, no game, but it seems like the Panthers kind of lost a little bit. Those relationships that DK Metcalf may have theoretically had with Dave Canales, Dan Morgan, maybe not that strong. Maybe not as compelling as we thought. In my brain, because I'm not a GM, I'm not an analytics guy, I'm not a PFF guy, I'm not a beat reporter, I'm nothing, I'm just a fan. I go with the path of least resistance when it comes to rationality in my head. So DK Metcalf, Dave Canales, Dan Morgan, Seattle, it's a match made in heaven. That's basically it. And I get overly emotional. But maybe he does have a relationship with Mike Tomlin, maybe not. But I guess in his case, money talks on his end. He wanted the money. Steelers were willing to give him the money. And then for the Seattle Seahawks, give us the draft picks. They're getting that second round pick. For whatever reason, the Carolina Panthers brass did not think that he was worth 5 years, $150 million or worth a second round pick. And I also got to say, for all you Tepper haters out there, you must love this because nothing must piss David Tepper off more than a prize wide receiver, arguably the best wide receiver on the market, the free agent market right now, goes to a team that he used to be a part owner of in the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they get their guy, and that is without a quarterback, mind you. Again, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields don't have contracts right now. So right at this moment, nobody is throwing a pass to DK Metcalf next year. Could have had Bryce Young, but I guess the Panthers did not offer that second round pick. They're offering the third round pick, and that just wasn't good enough. So with that, where do the Panthers find themselves now? Mind you, Devontae Adams just signed a 2-year, $46 million deal to go to LA. Again, I mentioned last episode, he is a California guy. I thought maybe he and Bryce Young could have a rapport there, but again, if he has his choice, he wants to go to a place where he can win a Super Bowl maybe next year. And so that could maybe happen with the LA Rams, who did surprise a lot of people. Again, back to being relationships. So I'm not just overly emotional, romantic about football. Matt Stafford's still staying with the Rams. So here's another thing that's just in my head right now. free agents. So not trades. So no trades here. Free agents. The Panthers are just not there as a go-to destination. I'm sorry. I know we love Bryce Young. I know we love our offensive line. I know we love Chuba Hubbard. But if you take a look at if you're a free agent out there, even if you're on the offense, if you're Devontae Adams, like, are you going to really kind of work it out with Carolina, hopefully next year, and hope that they build the defense, all this stuff? It's a lot of hope. I think we're a year ahead of attracting big talent. As delusional as I sounded in previous episodes saying, I want DK Metcalf, I want Harold Landry, I want friggin' Nick Bolton. Like, I want these guys. But unfortunately, the Panthers are just not that team yet where guys want to go to. We're not the Washington Commanders where reports are coming out in the middle of the year during their win streak that was a place that people want to go to. No one wants to go to the Carolina Panthers right now. If you are an elite talent, which unfortunately looks like instead of shopping at Saks, we're shopping at Marshalls. If Americans have Marshalls, I'm pretty sure you guys have Marshalls. We have it here. I think we got it from you guys. So instead of Saks, we're shopping at Marshalls. And I'm not saying, BJ Hill from the Denver Broncos. I'm not saying Josh Sweat. I'm not saying Milton Williams out of Philadelphia Eagles are bargain players at all. They could very well get a lot of money and be very successful wherever they go. I just think if they have a choice, it's either for them. Why would I leave a team I just won the Super Bowl with and then go to the Carolina Panthers unless the Carolina Panthers flash that cash? So you have to pay that crappy team, narrative-wise, tax. Meaning you got to pay guys like Josh Sweat, you got to pay guys like Javon Holland or Minton Williams or BJ Hill. You got to pay them more than they would have made with a true blue, like guaranteed competitor, like the Baltimore Ravens, like the Cincinnati Bengals, like the Chiefs, like unfortunately, the Broncos. You got to pay. You got to pay. And so in terms of where they go from here, Carolina Panthers, in terms of the wide receiver market right now, I mean, not much out there. Garrett Wilson's still there. I think Garrett Wilson is still alive. I don't know who the Jets are playing at quarterback. I don't know if they have a plan there. Matt Stafford's not walking through that door. Russell Wilson's not going to save him. Justin Fields is not going to save him. Kirk Cousins is not going to save him. Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, they're not going to save them. I don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Do they need a quarterback? I don't know. Like when the Lions picked up Jared Goff from the Rams, I think everybody thought that they lost that trade. They're laughing at everybody. No Super Bowl yet. The Rams kind of still won that trade. They still won the Super Bowl like the following year. But Garrett Wilson, you can still knock on that door. He's younger than DK. Would you be willing to remove yourself from that second round pick to get Garrett Wilson? That could be an option. Maybe that eighth overall pick. Would you release that eighth overall pick to the New York Jets and kind of have to deal with that second round pick, which again, you can still get a very good defensive player with that. Guys like James Pierce Jr., Princely out of Ole Miss, Walter Jones, all those guys are still going to be, Walter Nolan, still going to be available in the second round. So that's an option there, or just spend money in free agency as you're going to have to pay a little bit extra to get those marquee guys. But it's still out there for, as I mentioned, those names before. Javon Holland, who the Panthers were reportedly interested in, BJ Hill, Minton Williams out of Eagles, Josh Sweat out of the Eagles, Ojulari out of New York Giants, all guys who you're going to have to pay that shitty team tax for, unfortunately. And then when it comes to boosting the wide receiving room, it might have to just be through the draft. We might have to just go back to the page where 8th overall pick, it's Ted McMillan. Even though might not be completely convinced by him. Like I'm like 75%. I've watched him. I do think he has more burst and more aggressiveness after the catch than you might expect a guy who's 6'5", 220. Does he have that dog in him? I'm not sure yet. I need to find out. I don't really see it in the film. Like he's fast, but I don't know if he's got that dog in him, to be honest. I don't know if I'd be 100% satisfied with the 8th pick. If you could trade down, I've seen Ted, because he is falling a little bit. People are kind of thinking about, like, is he really the first overall pick? Or, is a Golden Cat out of Texas? Is he the number one wide receiver in this draft class? So if you can trade down, get more picks, Ted McMillan's still there, I'd be okay with that. 8 to me just seems a little rich. And I don't think anyone's going to take him before that. Or like if you take a look at the draft class, okay, maybe you can get the Saints and the Bucks, but that's a little bit later in the draft. So I could trade down. I could see a trade down and get Tet, because I don't see them picking up any wide receivers in the free agent market that are worth it. I don't see them trading for Garrett Wilson. That'd be great. The man has at least showed on social media that he respects our quarterback and respect his game. But if that doesn't happen, I think we're just looking at a stick and pick at 8, Tet McMillan, and then with the 57th overall pick, get the best defensive line player, whether it's a Walter Nolan, whether it is a, I don't think James Pierce is going to last that long. Who knows? Just get the best defensive line talent you can with the 57th overall pick, and team them up with whatever free agents you did manage to get, or whoever you did manage to trade for in this. Who's the cat? Hendrickson out of the Bengals. Like, of course, I would want that guy. Of course, I want him to be the Panthers, but will he come? I don't know. It's about relationships. It's about, first of all, sorry, let me, it's about money. It's about relationships, and it's about winning. Maybe money, winning, relationships. Are the Panthers willing to spend money on an edge like that, of that caliber? Are they going to win a Super Bowl right now? Doesn't matter. Do they have the relationships? I don't know. So at this point, I think, again, to reiterate, not shopping at Saks, shopping at Marshalls, and draft the best you can, the slow way. And if you think about it, some of the top 20 wide receivers right now with their teams that drafted them, they weren't guys who got drafted, let go, went up to another team and played at an elite level. These are guys who were drafted at their team, and they're the best wide receivers in the league. Malik Neighbors, drafted by the Giants. They did not pick him up. So we just somehow got to put our trust in this scouting department that, mind you, got us XL, got us Jalen Coker, 2 potential cornerstones in the wide receiver room. We got to trust them to do the same thing this year. Whether it's Tet McMillan, whether it's the Cats out of Texas, whether it's some diamond in the rough, maybe it's Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State, we got to trust them. Because I don't think a star is going to walk through this window via any deals. And if it is someone like Garrett Wilson, I'll be ecstatic. But I just don't see it happening. I think it's stick and pick at 8, offensive player or defense, and then you trust the scouts to pick somebody out in the third round, 3rd or 4th round, because I think you either double dip in the 1st and 2nd round for defensive talent. Because I'm sorry, I'll be real. I don't really believe in Tet as like a number 1 dude who could be a step in there and be a Malik Neighbors. I don't see it. I don't see him being a Malik Neighbors. I don't see him being a Jason Smith-Njigba. I don't see him being a Brian Thomas Jr. And if he's not going to be those guys, why would you use the 8th overall pick for him? I would not. Is he going to be Mike Evans? Is he going to be 50% of Mike Evans? I don't think so. So I can see them double dipping on defense. And in the 3rd round, you just kind of trust this scouting department who found us Jalen Coker as an undrafted free agent. If there's someone there in the 3rd round, pick his ass up. So let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about DK Metcalf signing with the Steelers, not with the Panthers, and the outlook going forward? See you guys.